Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. Tim, what's going on, man?
Yeah, I'm doing well. You?
I'm doing well also. Well, a little sleep deprived. Woke up, Tim. Gosh, it was probably about midnight. My son was crying. I went into his bedroom twice, and he had a fever. So it was one of those nights that any father can relate to. If you just don't sleep those nights. It was rough getting up for the gym 5:20 this morning, but I still went. Wasn't my best showing, but you do what you got to do. So just pushing through. Those are all my excuses for if I suck on this podcast. I laid them all out there really quickly for everybody, so that's not my responsibility. So it's all good. Tim, what I want to talk about today is, what is it going to take? And what I'm coming about this is I was talking to a business owner, and this guy owns one business, and he wanted to go into a second vertical, right? Kind of a side hustle, but his goal was to make his side hustle his real business. You've heard this. I know you and I do a lot of consulting. You've heard this a million times. And so the goal was he really wanted to build this side hustle up, and he was trying to figure out, well, what does it take, right? What does it take to do this? And he was asking me questions, like, okay, where do I start? What's going on? And so after a while, I paused him and said, look, you started a business before, right? Yes. Okay, great. So what is it going to take? What's going to move the needle for you the most in this business? And we started talking about it. And, obviously cash is king in any business, and cash flow being there for him. And we started talking about marketing and leads. Now, he had a substantial email list of potential buyers, right? So the target market he was going for. And he knew he only had to convert, less than 0.1% to hit his goal.
Wow.
Yeah, not a bad position to be in, right? And so we started talking about it, and he started asking me, he's like, well, what's the best way to do this, right? Which is always dangerous talking to someone like me. Yeah, because I'm getting on the whiteboard, I'm making schematics and drawings, and then we can retarget here, you can do this. And you really need to get into your buyer persona's head. You really need to know what those people are like and what's going on. And as we started talking about it, he was taking notes, and I said, look, multiple times, I said, all you have to do is start by sending that first email. Most important thing you can do. And we're getting into the phone call, Tim, and he asked me again, he's okay, so I need to do retargeting, and how far should these emails be spaced? And then if I do a video, when should I do video, and how should my lighting be? You started getting on to the nuances. So you know where this is going because you've heard this so many times. He started to put barriers in front of him and his own success. And I could see it before. He had a goal and a change that he wanted to make in his life. Now, a change, having the side hustle become his real business, would change not only the economics of his family, but his ability to spend time with his kids, right? And that was what was most important for him. However, the psychology, right? The ego and everything else in our subconscious starts laying out these rules and these barriers in front of what we really want to get, what we really want to achieve. And so I simply told him, I said, look, here's the deal. Send the first email. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't even have to be great. Just send it like you were talking to me. Send the first email to this large list. And then what you do after that is send the second one. And Timmy was like, Doug, okay. So I need to hook that email up to a calendar link, right? And then I need to hook it up to a landing page. Should I use ClickFunnels, Kartra, WordPress? He's like, I've never done any of this before. I said, send the first email and just say, hit reply. Make it simple for yourself. And all too often, whether it be business or personal life, we run into these guys, and you and I have the fortune of talking to thousands of men. And these are really smart, intelligent guys, but they start putting barriers up before what they want, right? They may want, to get better health, right? Lose a little bit of weight. They may want to reconnect with their wife, right? It's a common one that we hear about. They've become disconnected from their family. And then yet, when they see the success plan in front of them, they start putting barriers in front of them of how they can get it. It's not the right time, the money, it's not a full moon, the stars aren't aligning, whatever excuse they can make. And this guy was ClickFunnels, or what do I use? They put things in place to prevent them from getting success and prevent them from actually getting started.
So what do you think was really going on for this guy?
What I think was really going on is fear. It's fear for everybody, right? whenever we go to start something new and something that's bigger than what we're currently doing, we tend to have this little voice in our head, which is our ego talking. And it's all the what ifs. What if I fail? What if I don't do this right? What if they don't like me? What if they don't believe me? What are they thinking about me? And so all of these things, these conversations come into all of our heads, yours, mine, his, the listeners. And the key here, obviously, is to correctly identify the real conversations that's happening. So a lot of times that conversation shows up as, I don't have enough time, right? And that showed up for him. And I narrowed it down for him. You know, it's like, he finally was like, look, I can do an hour a day and work on this. So all you have to do is send an email, 20 minutes tops. That's it. Once a week, big deal, right? So they start creating barriers because we're scared. We're scared of what we're stepping into, or we would have already stepped into it. You know, you and I see this with guys that step forward and raise their hand and want to join the activation method and go to the alpha reset. And even guys that are trying to go into the brotherhood and make these changes. Because it's such a drastic change and change occurs outside of our comfort zone, what happens is we start putting all these barriers in place to prevent us from changing, making it harder for us. I don't have the right car, you know, whatever it may be. I don't have enough time. You know, I can't get to the gym. My kid's sick. I do it, right? We all do these things that prevent us from getting the change, right? Our body is biologically and anthropologically designed to keep us in homeostasis, where we are today, because it knows it's safe. Now, we know intellectually it's not safe, because if you're not growing, you're dying, right? Just like a plant. So we need to change and make those shifts. However, you know, that's the beauty of coaching, right? And you and I talk about this, and I have you on my side, you have me, and we talk about this in exchange. But for a lot of these men, making that shift is really fear-based, right? They're scared, and it's not consciously scared. It's not like these guys are wimps by any means. You know, some of these guys are big guys and, you know, boxers and all that great stuff. It's just the change, and they haven't seen it, subliminally prevents them from making a big shift.
Reminds me when I started the Powerful Man. At that time, we still had the fitness business as well, you know, Fitness for Mum. But I'd set up at that point, didn't really need me because I was feeling the pull, you know, the drill. You've heard the story. I was feeling the pull for something bigger, you know, the next step, whatever that was. I didn't know what it looked like. You know, I just knew that I wanted to, and this sounds loose, but wanted to impact the world in a bigger way, quote unquote, right? There was that kind of acorn inside of me that was waiting to be watered. So anyway, in Fitness for Mum, one of the things that used to kill me, stop me dead in my tracks. I didn't know this until I started the Powerful Man and was doing work on myself, and I could look back and, you know, hindsight's a great thing. But in Fitness for Mum, one of the things that stopped me dead in my tracks was overthinking things. And I invested so much time and energy and money into trying to master the external, right? The funnels, the sales systems, the processes, whatever it was. But I never really looked at myself. It was always the external things in the business. And I always was confused with why am I not getting the traction that I know I can get? Why am I not getting the traction that I should get when I'm doing all these things and I'm driving from, you know, meeting to meeting, listening to audiobooks and, you know, hustling hard and all the rest of it. Yeah, when I started the Powerful Man and I started to do, you know, realize where a lot of my overthinking came from, we generated, you know, within the first 5 months, I think it was about 240K in sales in the first 5 months, without a website, without testimonials, without a funnel, without any paid ads. And I just remember looking back to that point, and I almost at the beginning got into the same cycle as Fitness for Mum, because I was working with somebody to set up this, to put a webinar on, because I just felt the urge to host this webinar. I'd never hosted one before, and I just felt excited to do it. And then similar to this guy, I was like, okay, but what do I use? Can I set up a landing page? And I started to get myself in that same pattern. And so I recognized it. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm not doing this. This is stupid. So in the end, I just went out, messaged a load of people, kept messaging them, the people that said they were going to come. And I just manual labor, right? It wasn't the most leveraged of systems, but I just kept it simple and easy. And from about the September to the January, we sold out group after group after group. It was about 3 groups. Then put on the first Alpha Reset in the Alps in January, in the Austrian Alps. It was awesome. It was just this. It just took off really quickly because I'd gotten out of my own way, and I think there's so much power in starting from a position of innocence.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is it's kind of like people that lose it all, right? When they lose it all, coming back from that position, you want to be scared of that guy, because he's got nothing to lose because he's lost it all. So it's like, boom, I'm just going to go. Boom, I'm just going to go. And it's like, bang, action, 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 action. Whether that's in your marriage with your wife or your business or your health or whatever it is, it's almost like this reckless abandon for the detail because you realize that all you've got to do is jump and you'll figure out, you'll figure the rest out. The reality is no one's got a crystal ball, right? We don't know how things are going to go for the guys that come into the activation method or the Alpha Reset. I have a good idea based on the system and if they show up and do the work, but every guy is different. Every result is different within its nuances. It always is. And anyone within any coaching world or anyone in the world that can try and tell you that they know exactly how your journey is going to be, well, I'd be very worried. I'd be very cautious rather about taking advice from that person because they don't know. So, how can you, Doug? This is a question. How can you adopt, or how can the people listening or watching to this, how can they adopt this mindset of innocence, if you will, to be able to just jump and figure it out on the way?
It's a great question. I think some people have it more naturally than others, of course, but I also think it's a muscle. It's kind of like decision making, right? If you're one of those people that hem and haw about everything, you can practice by just being decisive more often and you become a more decisive man. Now, it's the same thing with this. And you know me all too well. It's, mine's, ready, fire, aim is kind of just the way.
Yeah.
I may even skip ready.
It's just fire.
Oh.
Fire. Oh, crap. We fired 3 darts. Oh.
Oops.
Let's go collect the other 2.
That's a position of an entrepreneur, right? That's just who I am. But it's also something I've also conditioned myself to do. And it's not get stuck in your head, right? And I can very much be in my head. And as you know, I've gotten a lot better at that over the years. And it's definitely something I'm still personally working on. In fact, Arthur, one of our head coaches, that's one of his, the coaches, we went back and forth and said, well, what's something I can improve in 2020? That was one of the things he told me that I could improve.
Oh, wow.
In my communication. He said I choose my words too much, but that's another topic we can talk about. But for the guys listening, what you want to do is, how can I make this easy, right? So a question I often ask the men and ask myself is, what would this look like if it were easy? And then describe it. So you want to build this business and you got this huge email list. Well, what would it look like if it was easy? If it was easy, I'd send out some emails and people would get on a phone and talk to me. Okay, so send out some emails, right? Why not? Oh, well, what about calendar? It doesn't have to be connected to a calendar. What if it was easy? Well, if it was easy, they just hit reply and we'd get on a phone call. Then do that, right? What if it was easy? What would it look like? And really what you want to do is paint that picture of what it would look like. The second thing, Tim, is taking massive action, right? That's something that I've conditioned myself with, almost like a muscle, and you have too, is when something's going on in your health, your relationships, you take massive action, don't get caught in the details. Now I can kind of laugh because I'm in my home office here where we record this, and I'm looking to my right, and I've got no less than 20 supplements there. L-tyrosine, B vitamins, men's dailies, all kinds of vitamins. The big thing is taking action and going to the gym. I can sit there and look at the micronutrients and get everything dialed in, but if I don't take action and go to the gym, this is a waste of money, these supplements. They're supplements. And most of the things that we do are supplements. So for guys that are having problems in their relationship, take massive action. And what if it were easy, right? The activation method is a simple system that's already been created for you. Take massive action. It's your health. Just go to the gym. Tie on your running shoes or your trainers, as you would call them, right? Get out there, go for a walk or a jog. It's not that difficult to do these things. Yet we create this fortress in our mind. It's almost like a maze. So those are the two big things I would start with, right? What if it were easy? Paint that picture in detail and break it down to its simplest steps, and then take massive action on that.
Yeah, well, you just got to get feedback, don't you? This is why it's so important to just take the action, because obviously, the feedback you get, whether it's within business or from your wife or, from Aiken in the gym, whatever, it's going to give you way more information than any of the due diligence you could, fathom of getting, right? You can over-prepare, can't you? There is a great question, though. I heard this. What audiobook was I listening to the other day? I think it might have been David Goggins, You Can't Hurt Me. I really enjoyed that. But anyway, what he said is, look, you don't rise to the level of your talent. You fall to your level of ill preparedness. And one question that he asked himself is, what are the potential obstacles to me achieving this? Or kind of like a SWOT analysis, right? What are the threats? And I think it's useful it can be anyway, useful to get some of that data, but regardless, there still comes a point like you're talking about, well, you've just got to go. You've just got to take the action. I think, for him, it's a little bit different because he's talking about doing his, third ultra run or something after the first one. He just went out and did 100 miles with no training, totally wrecked his body. And then he's like, okay, the next one I'm going to ask, okay, what could the potential obstacles be here to me hitting my target? So you can plan for them. And it's going to get hot by mile 30. I'm going to be on the tarmac by mile 50, and the tarmac's going to be really hot, so I'm going to run the white lines. So you can prepare for things, but the point is he's already in the action by that point, right? He's already in the mindset of running the race. He's already got his shoes on, ran the first race, jumped in the deep end, and just thought, right, I'll just see how I do, and from there I'll go again. And I think there's so much value in just diving in. You just got to dive in.
Yeah, so it's like a marathon. I've done a marathon, right? And the key with that isn't preparing, researching. The key with that marathon is signing up and paying the check, committing to it, and then I publicly announced that I was doing a marathon. Then you're darn right that I started researching how to run a marathon. But if I'd done research on marathon, hey, what kind of nipple cream do I need? All of these things, or my ball's going to chafe, whatever. That would have taken. Maybe I wouldn't have signed up for it. I've been, I'll do the next one next year, or what have you. Just put your money where your mouth is. Sign up for something, right? So if it's fitness, sign up for an event. So just put the check out there. Make a public declaration. If it's an area of your relationship, do the same thing. Pay for a coach, get some training, whatever it may be, health, wellness, wealth, get an advisor, pay the check, and then figure it out. Because you're painting yourself into a corner to get success. And I think that's something that I've been successful at doing for myself, Tim. I know you have, consciously or unconsciously. You and I tend to put ourselves in a position where we'll make a big announcement that we're doing something with a powerful man, like an event or something like that with a guy. And then we're like, how are we going to pull this off? Right? Yeah. Then we do. And that's, it's kind of, I think that's one way of kind of know thyself and conditioning yourself. Mm-hmm. Right? You raise the bar, and so your standards are also going to raise, because you and I aren't going to fail, right? And our version of failing is different than the average person's, perhaps, because we fail, we pick up right away, and our standards are so high that, we can do an amazing event and everybody loves it. And then afterwards we're going, okay, how can we make this better? But the point is we put the deposit down, we take massive action, we make a declaration. And that's a big difference than just sitting and planning. I'm going to plan, I'm going to fix my marriage. I'm going to listen to audiobooks on my way to work in the car, and stuff's never going to change. Big difference than actually putting your money where your mouth is, or making a public declaration and taking a big swing at the bat, and really going for it. It's totally the same thing with a marathon. You guys out there are like, hey, I think a marathon would be cool. Sign up for one. Do it today.
Yeah, it's like, waiting for the perfect moment versus creating it, right? I spoke with a guy 2 days ago. He has been messaging me through Facebook Messenger since March of 2019, or is it 18? A long time, anyway. And then gets onto a call, and he's like, Tim, wow. Obviously went through the process of how the activation method works. This sounds scary. I'm like, yeah. You want to change your life? It's going to take some courage. You have to face a few things. You're going to have to, have certain conversations. Ooh, if you could see me right now, I'm really, he couldn't get his words out. And he told me in the message before, look, I want the results that Ryan Peach has. I want his results. And I said to him, look, if you want the results Ryan has, Ryan called on his courage to get those results. Now, the thing with this is, the point I'm making is certain things are going to arise for you. Certain things are going to bubble inside of you at certain times in your life. And whether you answer the calling or not is going to dramatically impact and influence the trajectory of your marriage or your business or whatever. Or are you going to be that guy that looks back on his life in 10 years' time and reminisces about all those ideas that he had, all those great ideas? They say the graveyard is the richest place, right? And all the ideas that have died with all the men, because all these impulses have arisen inside of them, but they've not done anything with it. And they've died with the great ideas. And it's the same with this guy I spoke with. He's been speaking to me for over a year. The messages me 2 days after the call, I'm just going to do it on my own. I know what I'm doing. I'm like, you don't know what you're doing. You feel better because we've spoken and you feel inspired and, you see things a little bit differently, but you don't have a roadmap. You don't have a system. So I love that you feel better about things, but you're still not going to get where you want to go because you don't know how to get there. And what I've learned about myself anyway, is that if I don't take action at the time when something is bubbling up inside of me, chances are that I'll only stay in my sphere of influence, if you will, or even in my awareness. I'll only stay there for so long. And then I'll get it out of my awareness so I can focus on something else. And when I get it out of my awareness, if I've not taken action on it, likelihood is that particular area of my life is not going to improve, and I'll move my attention onto the next thing. Because I feel like I've kind of dealt with it by having a conversation with somebody or, putting something little in place, but I've not really taken the action that I really know I want to take and need to take because of whatever reason. I got the results back from that gut health test, Doug. There's things I get to change there. And there's an investment I get to make if I want to, go down this particular route. And I'm like, right, cool, I'm doing it. And Amelia's like, whoa. Let's just look at these other options. Let's just, there's this company online that does this. There's that person over there. I'm like, okay, makes sense. Makes sense. And I know that my time and my energy is one of my most, precious things. And I speak to her yesterday. And I'm like, look, Amelia, we've not done anything. I've not spoken to these other companies. I've sent my results off to somebody else for a second opinion. They're been slow. If I don't take some action on this, it's just going to pass on by. So I'm going to find a way to, I'm going to make this work. I'm just going to I have to take action if I want to be in alignment in the area of my health. Right. So it is, they're only going to stay around for so long, are these impulses. And if you don't answer the calling, it's going to go and move on. And your life will just continue to stagnate. Whether it's a calling in your business, with a shift you want to make, a business you want to start, a calling in your marriage to go deeper with your wife, or even, I don't know, get separated, or a calling with your kids, or to have kids, whatever it is, it's there. They're always there. If you don't answer, this isn't shiny objects either. This isn't about, hey, chasing the next thing. This is about something that's deep inside of you that is bubbling up time and time again. And every time you don't answer it, it eats away at you. It's the kind of thing that keeps you awake at night. You keep thinking about it, and you can, go off and do stuff, but it's still nagging. It's still there because you've never addressed it. You've got to take action, because it takes energy, like this guy to get on the phone with me. It took courage of him to speak to me. It took courage for him to take that call. It took his energy. And when the moment came for him to take action and he stepped away from the line, he's now gone back and retreated back into his cave. So now he's got to go through the same process again of, finding all that courage inside of him again to get back out of his cage and go again. And it's just difficult to do.
So true. So true. So in wrapping this up, I think that the takeaways, there's so many takeaways that you've given here, Tim, is take action, right? Don't allow these barriers to get in your way. What if things look easy? And in the moment of inspiration, apply some aspiration, right? Take and some perspiration and actually go for it, right? Dive in. And the little voice in your head is, it's not the right time, or I don't have the money to do it, or, oh, it's too complex. Shut that voice down. That is not the powerful version of you, right? The powerful version of you takes massive action. You'll figure it out. You'll figure out how to make the time. You'll figure out how to make the more money, right? You'll figure out how to get around these barriers. You'll figure out how to get through the technical aspects, whatever it may be. But don't allow excuses to prevent you from taking action. That's the truth. And this guy, Tim, I'm really excited for him because he's taking action. And 1% is all, or a tenth of a percent is all he needs of his list. He's going to smash it. And he's going to change not only his life, but he's going to change the life of his kids growing up. And it's going to be amazing to see. It's generational changes. Gentlemen, that's it for us today on another episode of the Powerful Man Show. If you haven't already, go over to thealphareset.com, where you can get more information about the Alpha Reset and training from none other than our founder, Tim Matthews himself. And until then, we'll see you next time on the Powerful Man Show.